Do you love TV shows? We do too. Hello everyone, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Anna, and we're the hosts of We Judge a Show by Its Pilot, a podcast hosted by us, a married couple with an endless love for TV.
Whether you're searching for a new favorite series or ready to revisit an old classic, we're here to guide you through an infinite world of TV shows.
Each episode, we watch and discuss the pilot for shows, while also sharing personal stories that parallel the storyline.
So if you're tired of endlessly scrolling and not sure what to watch next, tune in and let us do the searching for you.
We Judge a Show by Its Pilot. New episodes every Tuesday and Friday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Your new favorite show is just one click away. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our pod.
Welcome. Hello. Happy rainy Saturday.
Happy rainy Saturday, although you're going to be hearing this on a Friday.
Yeah, it's been cloudy and gloomy all day.
Every summer day in Louisiana.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah. So we are my brain just stopped for a second.
Okay.
I just got off work. I just got home maybe like in less than an hour ago. Took a shower, got some Starbucks, and now we're going to do this episode.
Yeah.
And we are continuing UK month with another show that I love very, very much. And it was, it's very similar to Skins, but I couldn't resist. I love the show so much. And even though it's in the same arena as Skins, I consider them to be two very different shows.
Okay.
I feel like Skins is a little bit more comedy, drama, angsty teen, whereas I feel like this show is just pure comedy. It's just meant to make you laugh. And so we're doing the Inbetweeners.
I'd never seen that, so
yes,
yeah,
I was very excited to show it to you. And yeah, it's a show that it was one of the first shows that I watched when I discovered Netflix streaming. When I first moved into that townhouse with Jody, where I had just become single. I was living in this apartment. I had internet and cable for the first time in many, many years, and I was really excited. I watched a lot of stuff on Netflix, and this was one of them. And it's super easy. I think it's like 18, 20 episodes or something like that.
Oh, okay, total?
Yeah. And I think there's 2 movies. And, this movie was like, this show was like a pretty big deal in the UK. I don't know if it was like as big as, say, Skins was. I know I keep kind of going back to Skins, but Skins is kind of the blueprint for all these teen shows because they all took inspiration from Skins. But yeah, so we are doing Inbetweeners today, and we have some news to tell you. I think this is the episode where we can tell you the news. So we're not going anywhere, but with Anna traveling and then for work, and then me with my own job, and then me also, we just don't have a whole lot of time to do 8 to 9 episodes a month. It's a lot. We are not, as we've said many, many times, we are not getting paid to do this. We are not doing this for any type of clout other than we just really enjoy doing this. We enjoy talking to the cosmos, whether it's 2 people listening or 100 people listening or 1,000 people listening. We don't really care. We just do this for fun. But
it's a lot on both our bandwidths.
Yes.
I will give you, like, it is definitely like 85% you and about 15% me. You do the write-ups. We both watch the show. We both participate in the pod, but you do a lot of work on the editing of our questions and, the summaries and all of those things. And it's a lot on the bandwidth. I ask you all the time, not trying to get out of doing the pod, but of are we doing too much?
Yeah.
I was like, we tend to do this a lot also on your actual days off.
Yeah.
And I always worry that you're spreading yourself thin in just life, and we enjoy it, but there's also a point where, you do need rest. You do need to just clear your mind and just hang out. So I'm glad we are changing things up.
So we are changing things up to, instead of giving you 2 episodes a week, we're just going to be giving you 1 episode a week. We're going to have our episodes still come out on Friday. I feel like we'll be able to put more into the pod now because we'll have more. I'll have more time. You'll have more time to maybe, you kind of had some ideas for future episodes that we're doing next month. I've had some ideas as well. And Doing maybe a little bit more marketing, a little bit more promoting, because basically we're at a point to where basically like we'll record, I'll edit, and then I'll upload the episode, and then that's kind of it, because that's kind of all we have time to do.
Right.
Because we have so many episodes that we do, and I'm very proud of us for going over a year doing 2 episodes a week, sometimes an extra 9th episode if there's an extra Tuesday or Friday. And it was a lot of fun, but I knew at some point it was probably gonna have to come to an end, and we're just gonna have to do once a week, which is what most podcasts do.
I mean, we just started last year at a time when I was not leaving this house.
Yeah.
I mean, I was pretty much home from July 5th until like mid-October, and then even when I started traveling for work, it was like 2 trips.
Yeah.
And then I think we went on, Maddie's grad cruise, and then I started working and traveling a lot more in spring, but it really came to a head in the spring, and I felt like, we missed an episode in March, and then we missed one in June, and, it's a lot, and I'm glad we came to this decision and to make it better, actually, I think, and my work schedule is already really bad from August to October,
yes, it
so
is. Yeah.
I think this was just perfect timing.
So this episode's gonna be coming out on a Friday, and I believe Skins is gonna Skins already came out this most recent Tuesday. If you're listening to this the day that it comes out, but after this, we're just gonna be doing every Friday.
Yeah.
I'm actually really excited. Like you said, it makes it a lot easier for us to pick themes. It makes it a lot easier for us to kind of cater to the theme and pick maybe some newer shows, some niche shows, some obscure ones. I feel like I don't want to say we play it safe, but I feel like we kind of go for what's more familiar, because we put so much on ourselves each month to do this. So we're like, well, let's at least do a show that like we've seen before. Let's do a show that like we're familiar with, or something that we just started watching, so it's fresh in our heads. But I'm really excited. I'm actually like, this kind of like brought us a second wind. I kind of got my fourth wind.
And who knows? I mean, maybe during a month we might do 2 in a week.
Right.
Like your birthday month, I know you had some things already planned.
I kind of already have that. And then sometimes there is going to be a 5th Friday, so we are going to sometimes be doing 5 episodes. I believe August and October are 5 Fridays, so we're still gonna have 5 episodes, and then we're probably gonna do an extra one in October because Halloween falls on a Friday. So kind of thinking of stuff to do for that. So that's your formal announcement. I will be posting, reminding on our social media pages, on our socials. And so kind of I'm pretty excited to start this kind of new phase of the podcast. I feel like we know what we're doing at this point. It's more or less just kind of finding the time to do all the episodes, and then now it's very possible because we can kind of clear them all out in like a week, and then I can have 3 weeks to edit them and promote them and market them and do all the things that I want to do.
Yeah.
So
I like it.
We are, so once again, just going to quickly, even though I've said the title like 5 times, we are doing the Inbetweeners today for UK month. And I actually got some fun questions for this and a little thing that I looked up that I will kind of like what I did with Call the Midwife.
Okay.
A little different, but so we're going to do what we always do, and Anna's going to give us some episode and series information.
All right, The Inbetweeners, first day. The Inbetweeners was a British coming-of-age sitcom that aired on the UK's E4 channel from May 1st, 2008 to October 10th, 2010 for a total of 3 seasons and 18 episodes. The series was created by Damon Beasley and Ian Morris. The two met as producers on the UK's The 11 O'Clock Show and became writing partners. The two came up with the idea for The Inbetweeners while comparing stories from their sixth form experience. They both described themselves as not quite in the popular crowd, but not quite outcast, somewhere in the middle. They considered themselves in-betweeners. The name is also derived from their experience in sixth form as being in between adolescence and adulthood. The Inbetweeners follows Will Mackenzie, a posh teenager who has transferred from the comfort of a private school to a public sixth form school after his parents' divorce. The series follows Will and his new friends as they navigate girls, parents, bullies, and partying. The series cast includes Simon Bird as the intelligent, studious, and somewhat naive Will Mackenzie, and he also serves as the narrator. Joe Thomas as the cynical, sarcastic, and irritable Simon Cooper. James Buckley as the vulgar, immature, arrogant Jay Cartwright. Blake Harrison as the sweet, gullible, and dim-witted Neil Sutherland. Recurring cast introduced in the first episode include Emily Head as Carly D'Amato, Simon's longtime crush and family friend. Greg Davies as Mr. Gilbert, the boys' authoritative and skeptical school principal. Henry Lloyd Hughes as Mark Donovan, Carly's boyfriend who bullies the boys. Belinda Stewart Wilson as Polly Mackenzie, Will's sweet, understanding mother. Robin Weaver as Pamela Cooper, Simon's mom. And Alex McQueen as Kevin Sutherland, Neil's father. The Inbetweeners became a hit in the UK for its hilarious writing, lovable characters, and memorable quotes. When the series became available in the U.S. on Netflix streaming, The Inbetweeners became a cult classic. The series has spawned 2 feature-length films, 2 novels, a few reunion specials, and a failed American remake. You can currently watch the series on Prime Video, Pluto TV, and Tubi. And the 2 films are available to rent or buy on streaming platforms like Prime, YouTube, Apple TV, and Fandango at home.
Yeah, I have to start including the rent or buy options.
Yeah,
I kind of had to start doing that.
Yeah, some are just not. I mean, things come in and out of streaming now fast.
And both of the movies were on Netflix for such a long time, but so was the show. So I think once Netflix just started removing stuff, I think they just kind of removed everything. Because Skins used to be on Netflix, Inbetweeners, Misfits, like all these shows used to be on Netflix, and then Netflix did their thing and got rid of all these shows like they did with the Office, and which was like, I mean, I remember that day. It was insane when The Office was taken off of Netflix.
Oh,
everyone rioted.
It was like everyone was like, "What am I gonna do?"
Yeah, Peacock.
Yeah, what's that?
I remember we were like, "We're not gonna get it," and then on New Year's Eve, after midnight, when everyone left and we realized that it was no longer on Netflix, we were like, let's just get a Peacock account.
Yeah, it was like, okay.
And I love Peacock, so
yeah, it has a lot of good stuff.
It has all the Jurassic movies, and Ted.
What's that?
Oh, I forgot. Anna's never seen a Jurassic movie ever in her life. She doesn't even know what dinosaurs are.
What are dinosaurs?
Just kidding. Those are her favorite movies of all time.
Yes.
All right. So what did you think of the pilot? It was 25 minutes?
Oh, yeah.
Super easy.
I liked it. I mean, it introduced everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It was funny.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think I have not, I've admitted I have not watched a lot of UK stuff. It just was never in my like stream of stuff that I would ever watch. I mean, I actually had a lot of friends that used to watch like Ab Fab and all of those things.
Me some Ab Fab, yeah.
Doctor Who,
Captain Kim.
But I just never like sat and tried to find anything like that.
Right.
But I think as we've been doing this month, seeing UK shows, I think I could get down with some of them.
Oh, yeah.
And this was one of them for sure.
Oh yeah, and like I've said in other episodes this month, that the UK 6 to 8 episodes per season. It's always super easy to watch a UK show. Even when we did Call the Midwife, that's like 8 episodes. It's like 14 seasons, but there's like 8 episodes a season.
Well, that's when I saw this. You were like, it was 3 seasons, 18 episodes. I'm like, we could watch that this weekend.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, yeah, for sure. Or this to me would be like a good cruise show to watch.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, like the 3 nights that were on a ship late at night.
I'm pretty sure I have the movies on my hard drive too. So
okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, so you would continue watching this if we were to keep watching?
Oh yeah.
If I was like, hey, let's watch the next episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the second episode, I think it's the one of their first episodes is when they go to the water park, and that's like my favorite episode.
Oh gosh,
so funny.
You and your experience with water parks.
There's something to it. It was an amusement park. I don't know if it was a water. I think it was an amusement park, but I was a ride operator. for 3 hours.
Here's your job. No
Yeah.
training whatsoever.
Yeah,
Push go.
I'm going to show you how to do this one ride that you're not going to operate, and then I'm going to put you on another ride. That was my training.
Nice.
We're gonna put children's lives in your hand.
15-year-old's hands.
Yeah, I was 17.
Okay. Oh,
16.
sorry.
No, I was 16. But yeah, so, this is kind of all about. Of course, I love the pilot. I love the show. I've already talked about that. And of course, I almost started watching it almost kept watching it right after we watched the pilot. But I was like, let me savor it. Only have 17 episodes left. This is kind of, at least in the first episode, Will is the new kid. I pretty much for the first season, he's kind of the new kid. You have these kids that have all gone to school together since they were little, and it's kind of like going into a private school for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
Even though this isn't a private school, it's a public school, but it's like I don't know how it works in the UK, but it seems like all of these students have known each other since they were very young, and kind of going in as the new kid. We've both been the new kid. We both talked about being the new kid before, so we don't need to talk about that. But how are you with new kids? Like, were you nice to them? Would you take them under your wing?
Oh, yes, that was me.
Yeah.
I was always the person. It was definitely much more when I was younger than when I was older, because I feel like post junior high that paradigm of my life changed after I was bullied in junior high.
Yeah.
But I was always like, who's the new person? And let me go talk to them, boy or girl. I'd be like, where are you from? Like, what school did you go to before? Oh, you're from this city or state. And I was always very interested in talking to people. That did change a little bit. I became a little bit sus of people, or I don't want to say standoffish, like after I had been bullied by my friends. So, but I also use that bullying experience to also want to still be people's friend, because I have like zero tolerance for people bullying people, especially children. I hate hearing those stories. Yeah. And especially from like my friends who have kids that, who've recently been in high school and junior high, where they're like, yep, still happens. Nothing's changed. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that was part of my growing up, particularly from when I was really little to like junior high. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
So when I was the new kid, when I was in 4th grade, I went to the private school where I had a really rough time, especially my first year there, where I was bullied, and they had all known each other since pre-K. They all went to church together. Not all of them, but most of them like went to church together, and they all knew each other, and I had a really tough time fitting in. So when 5th grade came along, there was a new kid in my class, and I was immediately like, what's your name? What school did you go to? Where are you from? And so I didn't want him to feel like I felt. So it was very much like, and I also like didn't have a lot of friends. So I was also just kind of like trying to make my own, trying to make new friends. And he stayed until 6th grade. He left after 6th grade, but 5th and 6th grade, he was like one of my best friends. His name was Robert Morgan. And, he was one of my best friends throughout 5th and 6th grade, and he was really funny. We watched like he was really into like Adam Sandler and Chris Farley, and he was into horror movies, and he really liked playing video games, and he rollerbladed. So it was like we had a ton in common. But I think that I've always I think because of that experience in 4th grade, when I kind of felt being the new kid, and then when I started at Woodlawn in 9th grade, I wasn't the new kid, but I didn't know anybody. So it was like I knew a couple people, but the school was so big, it's like I never really saw them if we were in like different grades and stuff.
Yeah.
So I still now to this day, whenever there's like a new person that I work with or someone that I'm training, I really try to make them feel welcome. I really try to like get to know them. I ask them questions. Sometimes they give me a lot. Sometimes they give me nothing, but it's just, it just depends. I think working in the restaurant industry and training people so much, it's just, there's something like not intuitive. There's something like second nature about like just kind of wanting to make someone feel comfortable, make someone feel welcome. I want you to come back. Like I want you to
please don't quit.
I want you to want to come back. So I think working in the restaurant industry has kind of made me be the person that like wants to help out. I also love training people. Also love training new people at my job because so there's this movie called Waiting from 2005, I think, and Ryan Reynolds and Anna Faris are in it. So it's a movie. I mean, like, I think if you would have asked me 20 years ago, I would have told you it's the funniest movie ever. But watching it now, it is dated. But I guess there are still some funny moments. I really don't think it's an accurate depiction of working in a restaurant. I think it's just meant to be a comedy. But there's kind of this joke where Ryan Reynolds is training John Francis Daly, and he's just like, look, everything I could show you, like the actual job, everything I could show you, I can teach you in like 2 hours. Like what you need to learn is like how things work here. Yeah. And that's me. Like I'm that person. I'm like, look, this job, once you learn everything, which is going to take you a couple days, after that, it's just speed. It's just speed and learning how to multitask. What I'm actually going to teach you is how to actually work here. Like how to, when you work with this person, you do this, this, and this. When you work with this person, don't do this, but you can do this. Like, I not at George's, but at other jobs, I've been like, this is kind of how you get around the system of like taking food home. This is kind of how you get out of the system of, getting a free drink at the bar after your shift. Like there's just different ways you can do things. But yeah, I've always just been that person. I always enjoy being that person.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm the Yoda.
I'm kind of that person too. I mean, we have a couple of new hires and one of them started chat messaging me on Teams and she's like, I'm so sorry for all these stupid questions. And I'm like, no, nothing's a stupid question. Yeah. Like, please, because I wish people would have reached out to me when I was starting. Not to mention the fact that we have so many more systems to do things and a password for this and like a double 2-factor authentication for that. But then you also have to use your Ping ID on your phone to log into this. I mean, it can be a nightmare trying to remember all of these different access points and ways to do things. So it's very much like the restaurant industry. Like this is, I'm going to be, I don't know all the lingo and all the areas, but this is the grill area and this is what you do. And then this is the fry side. And then this is the board. And then you've got like the busser side. And then you've got like the food store, I mean, it's a lot to remember and remember who does what, where things go. And what do you have to clean at the end of the night? And
and it varies if there's 2 people closing, 3 people closing, 4 people closing.
It's all kind of like a puzzle each time. So
so we've talked about you talked about when you moved to Seattle and you had like difficulty making friends. So when you're not like when you're in a comfortable spot, like now when you have new people coming in, you've been at your job long enough to where you feel comfortable. You don't feel intimidated when you're around people you don't know because you're comfortable at your job, or you're comfortable kind of where you live, the people that socially. But how, when you were younger, or maybe present day when you first moved to Seattle, or just in general when you're like the new person or when you don't know people, how do you kind of go about making friends?
I still think it's really difficult. I mean, which is crazy. I'll say it's maybe changed a little bit with social media and the access and the information that we have to events and things that are happening in the city that you live in, or the state, the parish, or things that are happening in the world.
Right.
But like, even when I moved back from Seattle back to Louisiana, I actually thought I was going to be fine. I was like, I'm going back to Louisiana. I'm going back to New Orleans. Like, I know so many people here. I mean, from high school, from law school, from whatever. And then there were not a lot of people here. So like really one of the only people that was here was Terry from college. And he took me under his wing, and like, whatever Terry wanted to do, like, I was like, sure, I'll go. So he will not mind. Terry is gay.
Mm-hmm. What?
So, I know. And so I can tell you, I spent a lot of time from 2006 until about 2008 or 9 or so, hanging out at gay bars on Bourbon Street in the French Quarter, because that's where like Terry went and Bruce went and Jim went and Gene and Joe and all the guys he had introduced me to who were all gay, and these were all like my gay husbands, but it was fun and there were no expectations about anything else other than just being friends, and it was just a network. We would go to Mardi Gras parades or hang out at the bar. We would do the Boogaloo Fest because Terry and Bruce had a shotgun house. They were double shotguns and lived like right by Bayou St. John. So we had a blast like all the time.
Awesome.
But then my work territory started getting bigger. So me going to New Orleans wasn't happening as much. And around the time of like 2012, 2014 was when I started getting more involved with AOPI again.
Okay.
And that was around the time I met Summer. And she came to a meeting that I was hosting here. And it was like a book exchange. And I got her book and her bottle of wine. I think it was actually like some sort of like cider or something. And we just started talking, and she invited me actually to her birthday dinner at Beau Soleil in Baton Rouge. And that was when I met Alicia. I met Rachel. I forget who else was there, but those were the other two key people.
Did you meet Heather?
Heather had to have been there. Whoops. Sorry, Heather, if you're listening. But yes, Heather was probably there. So that was when so it was Summer who introduced me to Alicia, Heather, and Rachel. And all of a sudden we started taking girls trips to Biloxi, and then 3 of us, Rachel, Alicia, Summer, and I, 4 of us, we went to the Bahamas. And, so mine sort of started either through like Terry and him not giving me, but sharing his friends and them taking me under their wing, and AOPI also branching my reach of friends as well and making new friends. And again, through Summer, through Alicia, we have met so many people, Nita and John, and then we've met Wes and BJ and just so many other people. And I feel like that's how it happens for me. I mean, I've done online dating, and I see events that are happening in New Orleans or in Baton Rouge or Hammond and in other places, but I'm not a big like, oh, there's this cool event, let me go to it by myself kind of person. So I never met like groups of friends. About the only thing I will say that I tried, and this was like maybe the year before I met you, was I joined that dance team in New Orleans. There was an AOPI who was in it. We were acquaintances, but I joined it thinking it would be a fun way to meet some new people. And it felt like junior high again. Like, I think I've told you that they were just mean and cliquish. And I'm like, I thought y'all said y'all were like a welcoming group. And I know I'm not the best dancer, and I'm not like the coolest, hippest person in, New Orleans, but I think I'm a nice person. I showed up to practices and all the parades I was supposed to be at. I participated in like, the gift exchanges, and they were still very cliquey. And I was done with that for a year. I was like, I was treated poorly in junior high. I don't need to be treated poorly when I'm
not reliving this.
45 years old, know, like I have a lot more self-esteem than that. So I don't need to belong to a group of mean girls. So so I think I meet friends organically now through other friends. What about you?
I kind of went through a really long period of time where I I was very, I don't know if outgoing is the right word, but like I was just very like I made friends kind of easily. When I was really young, when I was probably like pre-child, preteen, teenager, it really wasn't that hard for me to make friends just because I feel like you're the same way, where I just have so many interests and I'm into so many different things that it's really easy for me to connect with people. And it's really easy for me to, I think I also just have, I mean, I think I can speak for myself when I say that I have a very approachable personality. I don't really seem like I'm someone that's going to be mean to you. I don't seem like someone, I feel like I'm a pretty approachable person. When I was younger, I don't know about now, but when I was younger, I definitely just kind of would find a common thing with someone. Like, so when I started at Woodlawn, I don't remember elementary school. I kind of blocked all that out. But when I started at Woodlawn, for me, I was like, okay, I'm in theater and I'm playing soccer. Let me meet people through that. And it was just kind of like, let me try to make friends through that. So I started playing soccer, and there was a guy that was in my grade. And I had a class with him. His name was Nipur Patel. I'm friends with him on Facebook. And he instantly became one of my friends. And then I was in theater, and that's like, those were my people. So it was just kind of like, I'm a dramatic little theater kid. So it was just, I had my people. And so it was like really easy to be like, oh, movies, TV shows, music, plays. Like I was just able to talk to everyone. And since I liked so many different things, it was like really easy for me to talk to people. Now, when I moved to another city, when I moved to Destin, and I did not know anybody other than my two roommates who had already been living there. They had already worked. They were already working somewhere. They had already kind of made their own friend group. And I was a part of it, but it didn't feel like my friend group. It didn't feel like these were the people that like I wanted to hang out with. They were just the people that like I kind of had to hang out with because I was living with these two guys and these were their friends, and these people would come over, and it was just kind of like they were cool and everything. It was just kind of like, man, these just aren't the type of people that I usually hang out with. So when I started working at Hard Rock, I remember showing up to orientation wearing I think I was wearing a Perfect Circle t-shirt, like a Hard Rock band.
Yeah.
And the woman, Rosie, that was doing our orientation, there was like me and like 4 other people in orientation. I was like the only one kind of dressed like I worked at Hard Rock, It's like I was kind of the only one, and I was like, oh, I can wear this to the orientation. It's Hard Rock Cafe. And she just kind of looked at me. She was like, oh, you're going to fit in fine here. And I was just like, yes, I was just like, and so when I started at Hard Rock, I was like, they were all piercings, tattoos. We all watched horror movies, listened to industrial metal and punk rock and stuff like that. So it was like, when you're 21, that's what's important to you. So like that's, what you watch, what you listen to, the TV shows you watch, like that's defining. That's personality defining. Now that's just my interest. I do not consider. No, being a horror movie fan, I consider a part of my personality. Yeah. But it's not like if you didn't like horror movies, I wouldn't have been like, oh, we can't date. Even though I kind of joke about it sometimes.
I was gonna say you've joked about it.
I've joked about it, but luckily we didn't ever have to have that conversation. So I would have liked to anyway. But anyway, I really just try to find common bonds, things that we have in common. It was like when I was first introduced to your friend group, you were like, okay, Alicia's really into horror movies and like suspense movies. She's really into movies and she loves TV shows.
Avengers and DC.
And so I was like, okay. So I remember the first time I hung out with Alicia, we talked about Get Out had just come out. So we were talking about that, and we started talking about TV shows that we watched and movies that we watched. I'm like, okay, cool. I like this person. Summer, we knew some of the same people. So it was like she knew Crystal. I did theater with her. So we had some like common. She likes playing games. She watches a lot of TV. I watch a lot of TV. So we had stuff to talk about. Kind of the same with Wes. Wes and I both kind of have this thing where I'm not a big car guy, but I love like classic cars. I love like vintage cars and stuff. And so we had a lot to talk about with that. And also, we both like musicals. We both like show tunes. We both like movies are kind of always a great common bond that you can find with people. And luckily, I like them all. So it's really easy for me to talk to people about movies because I have an endless amount of useless knowledge about movies. And you got a question about a movie, I will probably have an answer for you. unless I've never seen it. But yeah, so I feel like I use common bonds, and then hopefully our personalities will click, because sometimes personalities don't click, and sometimes you can have all these things in common, but like something just doesn't click friend wise, and there's nothing wrong with that. We've talked many times about like maintaining friendships, types of friendships. We've talked about that before. But yeah, I feel like it was a lot easier for me when I was younger, but as I've gotten older, I find it more and more difficult to make friends. The idea of making friends at 40, making new friends at 40, doesn't scare me, but it just kind of feels like
it'd be difficult.
It'd be difficult because, like, it just, I don't know, everyone's just so set in their ways by this point in time.
I agree. And I even feel like, I mean, I'll just use my sorority stuff as an example. Like, you would think, oh, you're in a sorority, you're very involved with the alumni association and the chapter. But even when you're at a conference with like 900 of your sorority sisters, you still don't know everyone.
Right.
And you're still not like running up to people and being like, oh my God, hi, my name is Anna. I mean, I think I could, but like, so I met my friend Shirley through a committee that I had volunteered. Actually, I think I had gotten picked for it, and like someone had nominated me to be on this like funny committee at convention. It was like around 2019, and we just maintained our friendship. And she's the one who invited me to come to Palm Springs early.
Oh, okay.
And so I went, and she also had 3 of her friends that she's been longtime friends with, who I knew their names, but I had never really ever talked to them until this trip. And now I felt like through this, I made 3 new friends. I spent 2 nights with them in Palm Springs. And then even more so after that part of the trip, I still had that one day that I was there, and I had invited 2 girls from Lafayette to come in early, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna be there, I have this room, I have this car rental, why don't y'all come and we'll just go tool around Palm Springs all day. And we just had the best time. And you know, it was like I knew both of them, I felt like we were acquaintances, but now I really felt like we were good friends after this trip. And I think it takes a little bit of work, and sometimes something like a convention or like that extra day on a trip, and also being not forced, because I asked them to come and hang out with me, but then spending that time. Like, in fact, I think you had sent me the message, so this is funny, I didn't even think I told you. You sent me the message about 7-Eleven.
Oh, National Slurpee Day.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so when we were in Palm Springs, I did not know this, that 7-Elevens have gone by the wayside, because I think like China or Japan or someone has bought them all out and they've turned into something else.
Oh, okay. I didn't
Don't
know
get
that.
me like, so we were in Palm Springs and Candace saw a 7-Eleven and she's like, oh my God, they're like no more 7-Elevens anymore. And I was like, what? Like, my look on my face was just like the one you just had, was like, I've never heard that. And she's like, yeah, they're like few and far between, and they're like really no more 7-Elevens. They've been bought out and they've changed them, and you know, all this stuff. And I was like, okay. So last night, after you sent me the message about National Slurpee Day, I sent a message to Candace, who I bonded with in Palm Springs, and I was like, I couldn't let this day go by the wayside without wishing you a happy 7-Eleven day. But the internet, what gods were listening or reading my phone, and it came up that 7-Elevens are coming back to Baton Rouge.
Oh, wow.
And it came up in the Advocate and our newspaper, and I sent that to Candace, and she's like, oh my God. And so it was like all this kind of crazy stuff, but like I would have never known that about Candace had we not been driving around Palm Springs and seen this
That's cool.
crazy 7-Eleven, and then you reminded me of it, and it just triggered that. And so I just think things sometimes happen organically, and to me those are the ones that really mean a lot. And so I'm not a forced I don't like run up to people like I used to when I was little.
Yeah.
Now to me it happens through friends or through a committee and people who I spend time with. So yeah. Anywho.
Okay, so when you were doing the episode and series information, you mentioned that the Inbetweeners had a failed American remake.
Yes.
So I will kind of just go ahead and say that I didn't hate the remake solely because a really funny actor named Zach Perlman played the role of Jay, and I love him as an actor. So and then there was one of the guy that played Neil was in a movie called Sex Drive with James Marsden, and he was really funny in that. So I'm like, okay, we have really funny people. The thing that I think they did was I think they just like didn't do anything new. They just did like carbon copies, like we talked about with Skins. And so it kind of got me thinking, like, we've talked about remakes before. We've maybe done other remakes of shows, or we've talked about them, but I kind of got me thinking, like, what does the internet say are TV show remakes that are better than the original? Okay. Because people are always talking about remakes and how they're inferior and how and stuff like that.
Doesn't live up to
a certain degree. I agree, kind of, but there are plenty of remakes that are actually better. And these are there were 8 titles that were better, that people consider better than the original. Of course, there are so many different rankings of this, so many different opinions, so many different whatever, but these seem to be the most frequent that I saw on the list. So number 1, The Office. I don't think anyone that was literally everyone's number 1.
I was gonna say obvious.
The Battlestar Galactica, which I did not know was a remake. I did not know that. The remake of One Day at a Time. Apparently, it was on Netflix with Rita Moreno, and everyone loved it. I've never watched it.
I didn't watch it, but I remember when it came on, and I was like,
everyone loved it.
We should have watched it.
We will at some point.
Okay.
And then Anne with an E, which is based on Anne of Green Gables. So Anne of Green Gables was a miniseries. I don't know if this technically counts, but everyone loved Anne with an E. Everyone thought it was a much more accurate depiction from the books, and everyone really appreciated that. I think the original Anne of Green Gables was just like a miniseries soap opera type thing that people were just
70s or 80s.
I think it was from the. I want to say it was from the 80s because then they did a spinoff of Road to Avonlea, and that was Sarah Polley's first thing. Also, that was also a really good show. I used to watch that all the time. Doctor Who, which you can consider a remake because I think it ended in the late 80s and then got brought back in 2005. Even though they consider it a continuation, I think we can say it's a remake. Yeah. I was very happy to see this one, The Flash.
Oh.
I forgot that it was a TV show. I forgot the name of the actor, but I think it was like maybe 1 or 2 seasons in the early 90s. He wore the old lightning bolt hat, I believe. I was really surprised to see this one on a lot of lists. The remake of Dynasty.
Oh.
Yeah, I was really surprised. So the remake of like all of those, like the remake of Dallas, the remake of Melrose Place, the remake of 90210, everyone kind of put that on their bottom. But like Dynasty was like in so many different top shows that they consider better than the original. Now, I don't know how old these list makers were or how old these rankers were. It could be very much that they've only seen Dynasty in the context of like clips on TikTok and on Instagram,
of course,
because that's where I mostly see them because I follow Joan Collins on Instagram. So so I get served a lot of Dynasty. I get served a lot of TV show stuff in general. I think just because of the content that I have on my phone. And then I thought this one was cute. Because I read the books, because my sister read the books, but The Babysitter's Club.
Oh, yeah.
On Netflix. So there was a TV show in the early 90s that I don't think they took from any of the books. I think they were just like, let's just make a Babysitter's Club TV show. And it was just it was made in Jersey. It was Zach Braff's first show that he ever did. So it's really funny to go back and watch that because he looks and sounds exactly the same. It's Zach. I mean, like, it's Zach Braff. You can't, he looks so, his voice is so recognizable if you watch Scrubs and are so familiar with the narration from Scrubs. So it kind of got me wanting to see, I know the new Babysitter's Club, I know they're like 12 and 13, so I'm like, do I really want to watch this preteen show about girls? But, I love the books, and they actually base the episodes off of the books, and I used to read those with my sister all the time, so I just thought that was really cute. I didn't know. So this is a list of what is considered the worst TV show remakes of all time. I hate to say it, the number 1 on everybody's list was Skins.
Oh.
The number 2 on everybody's list was the Inbetweeners.
Wow. Okay. I remember Skins, and I remember like
the Inbetweeners remake has like a 1 point something on IMDb. Like
wow.
everyone hated it. Like everyone hates Skins has like a 3 point something. People at least I think gave like the first episode a chance, and then they were just like, no, this is garbage. Coupling, which you talked about.
Oh, wow.
You talked about that. I think that has like a 3 point something on IMDb.
Yeah.
The remake of Charmed, no one liked that. Everyone hated that show. The remake of Charlie's Angels, which I didn't even know they did. I had to look that up.
I'm trying. When was that?
I don't know. I looked it up, and I don't think it lasted very long.
Okay.
And then the remake of Night Court, which had Melissa Rock. I can never say her name. She was in Big Bang Theory.
Oh, okay.
I think they brought back like some people. But yeah, and then there was one, even though this isn't a remake, it was on so many lists that I had to include it because I totally forgot about it. That 80s show. It was not a spinoff. It was not related to that 70s show in any way. It had Glenn Howerton was in it, and she was in Not Another Teen Movie. Kyler Lee was in it.
Oh, wow.
And it was awful. So that 70s show was funny because it was a funny show that just so happened to be set in the 70s. What that 80s show did was they just had a bunch of 80s jokes. Oh. It was like, I'm calling you from a cell phone. Like it was one of those kind of things. And it was like, ha 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 ha, y'all are wearing out this laugh track machine.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is a little tidbit I wanted to do because I kind of am always curious, like what is the general consensus on some of these things? And I was not surprised by, I don't think any of it. I was not surprised to see Skins and Inbetweeners. Everyone hated the remakes.
I remember it just being shocked by Skins, like it didn't work, but I had not seen the UK Skins to compare, but it got slammed.
And so for those of you who don't know, when I met Anna and we started talking about our favorite shows and we talked about Skins, I think this whole time you thought I was talking about the American show. Not up until now, but I mean, like for a while, you thought I was talking about the U.S. show, and I think I was watching it at some point, and you were like, "Oh, this is UK," and I'm like, "Yeah, they did an American remake." You're like, "That's the one I'm thinking." Oh, yes. That's the one I'm thinking of.
I did. I remember.
Probably the whole time you were like, "This guy has really shitty taste in TV shows." I don't. I promise. So speaking of Skins, we're going to see Superman on Tuesday with Nicholas Hoult playing Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
More Skins. And then I'm sure we're going to watch Sinners at some point. With Jack O'Connell. All right. Let's get into this plot summary.
Let's do it.
25 minutes, 2 pages. It's such an easy show.
I'm not going to have too many emojis.
Oh, okay. Well, okay.
Yeah.
All right, Inbetweeners plot summary. Will McKenzie starts his first day at Rush Park Comprehensive, a public school where he will be attending for his sixth form education. Will narrates that this is the last place he wants to be. He had previously gone to private school his entire life, but after his parents' divorce, he is forced to go to public school. On his first day, along with 3 other new kids, Will attends a new student orientation with his curmudgeon headmaster, Mr. Gilbert. Will is forced to wear a giant name tag on his chest the entire day, and it says, "My name is Will, say hi to me," or something like that. It takes up his whole like left side of his chest. It couldn't have been more embarrassing if he tried. Will is determined to make friends with some regular kids and not end up with the other new kids, or the freaks as he calls them. In his first class, Mr. Gilbert assigns Simon Cooper to be Will's mentor and look after him during his first few weeks. Simon is immediately irritated, which he always is. It's like my favorite thing about Simon. He just like immediately gets annoyed all the time. It's my favorite. And he doesn't want to be seen with Will and his briefcase. So throughout the whole episode, Will will just be walking down the hallway and kids will just start calling him briefcase wanker, which is like one of the funniest two combinations of words ever. It cracks me up every time. Mr. Gilbert also warns the class about the first day pub meetup, a tradition for sixth form students. He reminds the students that underage drinking is illegal. Will continues to follow Simon around in hopes that he'll give up and let him be his friend. Simon insists that Will walk a few feet behind him. Will meets Simon's two friends, Jay and Neil. Jay is loud, obnoxious, and vulgar. He constantly boasts about his sexual experiences, to which no one ever believes him. Neil seems like a nice guy, just a little slow, a little dim-witted. While the boys discuss the pub meetup, Carly approaches Simon asking if he's going to the pub, to which he says yes. This motivates Simon to go and insists that the others join him. Will takes this as an opportunity to make new friends. After school, Will's mother comes to pick him up, and even though he begged her not to, Will's mother is very attractive, and the three boys, particularly Jay, are very vocal about it. The boys meet up at the pub later that evening. Jay insists he can get them alcohol with his new fake ID. Despite always sounding like he's making stuff up, Jay's ID actually looks legit. When they enter the pub, they see it's empty, but assume they are early, so it might take a few minutes for the crowd to show up. Jay's ID works, but the bartender will only serve him and not the boys since they are minors, which I'm like, you didn't think about that? In an attempt to impress his new friends, Will tries to purchase alcohol, but the bartender refuses. Will points out that UK law states that a 16-year-old can drink beer, wine, or cider as long as they are having a meal and are accompanied by an adult. I had to look that up just to make sure that it was accurate. Even though they said it on the show, I had to make sure that it was accurate, and it is. So that is still a law in the UK to this day. The bartender refuses to let Jay be the adult since he assumes his ID is fake, so Will asks a bar patron to sit with them while they drink. He agrees. A little later, Carly calls Simon and asks where he is. Simon looks around at the still empty bar and realizes they've mixed up pubs. The boys head over to the right pub where it is crowded with schoolmates. Simon finds Carly, who is with her boyfriend Mark. Will tries to order alcohol again, but the bartender refuses. Will doesn't understand because everyone in the pub is 16, 17 years old and are all drinking. Finally reaching his boiling point, we witness the first of many of Will's tantrums. This will become a recurring theme in the series where Will gets tired of being pushed around, but he kind of goes a little too far with his rants. He doesn't know when to rein it in and stop talking. It leads to some really great scenes and funny monologues. Will proceeds to loudly call out everyone for being underage and demands the bartender give him alcohol. Instead, what any other bartender would do, shuts down the pub and demands everyone leave. So now Will is an even bigger outcast amongst his peers for ruining the school's tradition. The boys wait outside for their ride when a group of bullies threaten Will for ruining their night. They are distracted when Will's mom shows up and begin to flirt with her and start acting nice to Will. The bullies leave, as do Jay and Neil. Simon gets a ride home with Will and his mom. So in the end, even though Will had a rough first day, he can say he made 3 new friends, even though they may not say the same about him.
Right.
And that's it. End of episode.
End of episode.
Like I said, 25 minutes, super easy, really funny, really, I mean, kind of, I think there are parts of this show that are, like, embarrassingly relatable. There's a lot of, like, really, they do really well with, like, the awkward moments and, like, the awkward silences and, you know, kind of the awkward moments that you have as a teenager. But, yeah, it's on Prime Video for free. I mean, well, if you have a Prime account. And, yeah, it's 18 episodes. Like you said, you can finish it in a weekend.
Easy.
All right,
peasy.
you ready to wrap this one up?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, that wraps up this episode. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on whichever platform you're listening to this podcast on. That way you'll be notified every time we publish a new episode. You can also follow us on Instagram at WeJudgePilotPod. We're also on Facebook. Leave us a comment, suggest a show for us to watch, or leave some emojis in the comments. What you got?
I don't have too many. I have the UK flag per usual this month.
Of
the
course.
The school, the pub and beer. Also wine or the apple to represent cider.
Nice.
There's an ID. The boys, like any of the boys to represent any of the boys. The briefcase and any of the mom emojis. All right. Well, we are going to head out, but we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening.